Mobb Deep is an American hip-hop duo from Queensbridge, Queens, New York, U.S., that consists of Havoc and Prodigy. The duo is one of the most critically acclaimed hardcore East Coast hip-hop groups. The group is best known for its dark, hardcore delivery as exemplified by the single Shook Ones. 2. Mobb Deep has become one of the most successful rap duos in hip-hop, having sold over 3 million records. 2 of their albums have been critically acclaimed, the Infamous and Hell on Earth, both of which are considered to be classics among avid hip-hop listeners and general fans. They are partially credited for the resurgence of East Coast rap in the early to mid-1990s. The group briefly disbanded in 2012 after a feud broke out between its members, but that has since been resolved and they have reunited for a 20th anniversary tour and new self-titled album. Their 8th studio album The Infamous Mobb Deep was released on April 1, 2014. Biography, Origins, Havoc and Prodigy met at the High School of Art and Design in New York City. Originally dubbing themselves the Poetical Prophets, the duo later changed its name to Mobb Deep to reflect their reputation on the streets. Before the group's career beginnings, a 15-year-old Prodigy was featured on the classic movie soundtrack to Boys in the Hood on a track titled Too Young. In 1993, when Havoc and Prodigy were 19, they released their debut album, Juvenile Hell, which was promoted by the single Peer Pressure. The album sold poorly and eventually met with harsh reviews that dismissed the duo as just another hardcore group with little to distinguish it from the rest of the hip-hop world, despite production by DJ Premier and Large Professor. Moreover, in 1993 Havoc made a guest appearance on the critically acclaimed Black Moon album Enter Da stage on a song titled You Da Man. In 1994 the duo released a single titled Shook Ones Part 1, which contained verses that later were incorporated into their most commercially successful song, Shook Ones Part 2. Rise to success, the group saw its first major success with their second album, The Infamous, released in 1995. Mobb Deep catapulted to the top of the hardcore hip-hop scene through Havoc and Prodigy's straightforward narration of street life. In this album, Mobb Deep portrayed the struggles of living in New York City's Queensbridge houses where Havoc grew up. Following the release of The Infamous, Mobb Deep became some of the most prolific artists of the East Coast in regards to the hardcore hip-hop subgenre. The production of this album was very dark and sample-based thanks to Havoc, who produced the beats from this point forward. Furthermore, the smash hit single Shook Ones. 2, a remix to the hit Shook Ones, received critical acclaim and was well received within the hip-hop community. Shook Ones. 2 showcased Havoc and Prodigy as accomplished masters of their field. The song brought raw aggression and an air of menace to proceedings through the impact of the production and the vocal performances. Mobb Deep's third album, Hell on Earth, was released in 1996, debuting at number 6 on the Billboard album chart. The album continued the duo's portrayal of harsh street life while further pushing them to the forefront of the hardcore hip-hop scene along with contemporary East Coast rappers like the Notorious B.I.G., Wu-Tang Clan Collective, Jay-Z and fellow Queensbridge associate Nas. Nas as well as Method Man and Raekwon of the Wu-Tang Clan appear on Hell on Earth. In 1996, they appeared on the Red Hot Organization's compilation CD, America is Dying Slowly, alongside Biz Markie, Wu-Tang Clan and Fat Joe among many other prominent hip-hop artists. This compilation was solely meant to raise awareness of the AIDS epidemic among African American men, and this compilation was heralded as a masterpiece by The Source magazine, a hip-hop publication. 1997 Mobb Deep was featured on Frankie Cutler's Politic and Bullsht album track titled No Doubt Game, which also featured Cool G Rap. In 1998, the duo collaborated with a reggae dancehall rapper named Bounty Killer on the track Deadly Zone for the soundtrack to Blade. In 1999, they released the highly anticipated Murder Music album, in which, despite extensive bootlegging, the majority of its songs were unintentionally leaked, which resulted in delays in the official album release. When the album officially released, it eventually debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and quickly received platinum certification and further promoted by the popular single Quiet Storm. Shortly afterward, Prodigy released his long-awaited solo album HNIC, in which the artist collaborated with fellow artists on the likes of, and lastly, producers. East Coast vs. West Coast feud. Mobb Deep was part of the infamous East Coast vs. West Coast hip-hop rivalry that was fueled and increasingly promoted by the private media. The beef started when Snoop Dogg and the West Coast group, Tha Dog Pound, released New York, New York, which Mobb Deep, along with Capone N. Noriega and Tragedy Khadafi, responded with the song LALA. This song was released during rapper Tupac Shakur's final days of incarceration. Members of Tupac's group, Outlaws, allegedly attended a Mobb Deep concert. They then visited with Tupac over public rumoring that the duo had snubbed them at the concert. Tupac dissed Mobb Deep on multiple tracks, including Hit 'Em Up and When We Ride on Our Enemies, in which Tupac makes light of Prodigy's sickle cell disease. Additional Tupac diss tracks include Bomb First, where Tupac said "You're barely breathing," and Against All Odds, both of which were released on Tupac's posthumous studio album, The Don Illuminati, The 7-Day Theory. Mobb Deep retaliated on their 1996 release of Hell on Earth, which contains a diss track entitled Drop a Gem on 'Em. 2000 to 2010, Mobb Deep released Infamy, while in 2001 the song Burn was perceived as a response to Jay-Z's diss song Takeover on the Blueprint, as was Crawlin', in which Prodigy's two verses both mention Jay-Z. The album marked a major stylistic change in which the duo moved away from a raw, minimalist, stripped-down beat toward a commercial-friendly in terms with such songs as Hey Louvre. This transition fostered accusations of selling out. They eventually led the group's fan base upset, and many longtime fans who did not wish to see them veer away from their original style eventually lost some interest in their music. Although these stylistic adjustments opened up by Mobb Deep to a wider audience, many critics and fans consider their style change as a detriment to Mobb Deep's street image and record sales. In 2003, the group split with Loud Records and released Free Agents, the Murder mixtape, in which Havoc and Prodigy proclaimed themselves free agents, and addressed the group's split with its old label and its search for a new label. Jive Records signed the duo later in the year through a deal with the group, a unregistered trademark's own imprint. Mobb Deep then released America's Nightmare in 2004, which was seen by the general hip-hop audience as a weaker release. This resulted in poor sales and the group, a unregistered trademark's subsequent departure from the label. Mobb Deep also gained some fame after Dirty New Yorker was featured in Grand Theft Auto 4. Today, as a result of various mergers, all of Mobb Deep's studio albums from 1995 to 2004 are owned by Sony Music Entertainment, G-Unit Records. In June 2005, Prodigy and Havoc announced they had signed with 50 Cent's label G-Unit Records. The move was surprising among hip-hop fans because 50 Cent had ridiculed the group in his song Piggy Bank. 50 Cent had a connection to Mobb Deep as he grew up in Queens, and Havoc had provided production on projects by G-Unit, Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo. The relationship strengthened as Prodigy and 50 Cent each received tattoos to pledge their loyalty to each other. Prodigy has the word G-Unit tattooed on the side of his right hand, and 50 Cent has Mobb Deep tattooed on his wrist. As part of their contract with G-Unit, both Prodigy and Havoc were given new Porsches. Later, Mobb Deep signed different artists onto infamous G-Unit Records, including Nis, 40 Glock and Gail Gotti. Mobb Deep released their eighth album, Blood Money, in 2006. It features G-Unit members 50 Cent, Captain Zav, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo and Young Buck, as well as Mary J. Blige and Nate Dogg. In 2006, Mobb Deep became the first American hip-hop duo to perform in India, via VH1's Hip Hop Hustle. It performed in a nightclub called Enigma. In late 2009, Mobb Deep were released from their contract with 50 Cent's G-Unit label. 2011 to present, Breakup, Reconciliation and the Infamous Mobb Deep. On April 4, 2011, a possible new Mobb Deep single leaked on the internet named Dog Shit. This song features rapper Nas. This is the first official song by Mobb Deep since Prodigy made his return from jail, and their first consensual collaboration with Nas in nearly 10 years due to their feud. It is produced by Havoc and Alchemist. In the long run of their relationship, they are also recording an upcoming, self-titled album with production from Havoc, The Alchemist, Sid Rome's, DJ Premier, MTK, Cardiac and the JUSTICE League, as well as other guest artists such as Rick Ross, Lil' Kim, Wiz Khalifa, Odd Future and Nas on their new album. On November 21, 2011, the duo released an EP called Black Cocaine. On July 27, 2012, Havoc told All Hip Hop in interview that group is on an indefinite hiatus. According to Hip Hop DX, Havoc and Prodigy had fallen out after Havoc blasted Prodigy on Twitter, and eventually, a sound clip leaked of him taking numerous shots at his former Mobb Deep comrade during their concert at SXSW. At first, Havoc claimed that he was hacked. However, he then confirmed it was him because he felt that Twitter was not a place to resolve a beef. He also stated that he had a diss track aimed at Prodigy in store for the making. Same Shit Different Day was recorded to take a direct hit towards Prodigy. The song later turned out to be Separated, which is slated to appear on Havoc's upcoming solo album 13. However, in January 2013, Prodigy would say that he is sure he would record with Havoc in the future. Mobb Deep will be appearing on Papoose' debut album The Nasari My Dream on the track Aim, Shoot. According to the 2013 Paid Dues lineup, Mobb Deep will be reuniting to perform on March 30, 2013. They would later confirm to be reuniting for Paid Dues and an international 20th anniversary tour starting in May 2013. On March 22, 2013 they would officially reunite for an interview and explain the whole situation of what happened between them, but go on to say the music is the most important thing and that they had love for each other and have been friends for too long to break up the friendship. Around the May 2013 release of Havoc's third studio album, 13, Havoc announced that him and Prodigy had been in the studio for over a month working on the duo's eighth studio album, which was already halfway done. He also stated that he will be doing the entire production on the album. On August 6, 2013, Prodigy said that they had finished 9 songs for the album, which will be titled Mobb Deep. On November 4, 2013, Prodigy said The Alchemist, and possibly Action Bronson and L Sweatshirt would be among the few guest appearances on the album. Discography: Juvenile Hell, The Infamous, Hell on Earth, Murder Music, Infamy, America's Nightmare, Blood Money, The Infamous Mobb Deep. References. External links: Mobb Deep on MySpace, interview with Prodigy, Prodigy interview of 2006, Hip Hop publication, Prodigy interview of 2007, Hip Hop publication.